Hello, good evening, and welcome to Unacademy, a one-stop destination for the English medium civil services aspirants. Today is a special day. We are proud and super excited to announce the launch of a comprehensive preparation program for CSE 2026. This is going to be our most ambitious batch for students who are targeting civil services examination in 2026 in English medium. Why? Listen to me carefully. If you are a student who is preparing for the civil services examination primarily in English medium, unfortunately, there aren't many options available for you in online. There are so many batches, so many classes, so many programs primarily targeting students who study in English medium, a mix of Hindi and English where the teachers teach in Hindi, although the notes are provided in English, which leaves a majority of our country, particularly the students from the southern part of this country, the Tamil Nadus, the Karnatakas, the Telanganas, the Andhra Pradesh, and also the beautiful Seven Sisters in Sikkim, the northeastern states. Where do they go to ACE to prepare for the civil services examination? And we promise you that this batch, as the name suggests, it is a foundation batch where we don't expect anything from you. What we expect from you is that you should be committed to your preparation. We will expect you to be attentive in the classes, to meet the targets that teachers are giving you. And this is going to be your one-stop destination to prepare and ace the civil services examination in 2026. All the teachers, and I will introduce the teachers one by one who will be taking all these classes for you in English medium. All these teachers will assume that you have no idea about the syllabus. You have no idea about previous year's question papers. You have no idea about the pattern of this examination. That is why we are calling this batch a foundation batch, where we are not telling you to study anything of your own. You come, attend these classes from a clean slate, and we will teach you everything that is required to ace this examination. I'll briefly tell you what are the main features of this program, and then one by one I will call my esteemed faculty and they will explain you how they are going to teach you in this foundation batch. And this foundation batch starts 31st of May this month. What are the highlights of this program? We say that this program is going to be from basics to advanced. You don't have to read NCERTs of your own. You don't have to cover basics on your own. We will be teaching you stuff right from basics so that you have conceptual clarity, so that your foundation is strong. Because if you have followed the prelims 2025 question paper, unless and until you have conceptual clarity, unless and until your foundation is strong, it would be very difficult for you to crack this examination. So we are expecting that in this batch, the students will come with a clean slate, and we will teach you stuff from NCERTs and then move step by step to the advanced level. And this is the level required to ace and crack the civil services examination. Second aspect, whether you are preparing for prelims or mains, somebody might have advised you that first prepare for prelims and then prepare for mains, or first prepare for mains and then prepare for prelims. But we have to tell you, with hand on my heart, the perfect strategy is that you have to integrate your prelims and mains preparation. And throughout the course of this discussion, we will explain what is the fundamental difference between the prelims and the mains examination. So this is going to be your one-stop destination if you are preparing in the English medium, targeting CSE 2026, right from basics to advanced. We will cover, promise. Second, you don't need to join any other program, any other course, any other coaching institute for your mains preparation. This is going to be your one-stop destination for prelims as well as mains examination. Whether GS or CSAT, everything will be covered here. Most importantly, current affairs, which is a very, very important aspect, integral part of your civil services preparation. For that, we have Unacademy's Current Affairs Navigator, a program where in 15 classes every month, which means 30 hours every month. We cover current affairs subject-wise. So it is not that we have one teacher for current affairs who is going to teach current affairs related to polity, economics, environment, science and tech, disaster management, international relations, so on and so forth. No. Individual teachers, for example, if I teach polity, I will teach you in 2 classes current affairs related to Indian polity every month. So will other educators, respective educators who are experts in their own subjects. And listen to me carefully. The team that will be teaching you, we have a combined experience of 75 years. So 75 plus years worth of experience would be teaching you live in this batch called the foundation batch. Current affairs and then answer writing. Mains is all about answer writing. And if you are qualifying the civil services examination, for that prelims is only qualifying in nature. If the cutoff is 88, whether you're scoring 89 or 189, doesn't matter. These marks will not be counted. The marks that you will score in mains and the personality test shall determine whether you are going to crack this exam or not. And mains 1750 worth marks is all about answer writing. UPSC will ask you, write an answer in 250 words, write an answer in 150 words. How do you structure your answer writing? What should be the introduction, body, conclusion? That the teachers will teach you live with live demonstration of how the solid sample model answer should look like. So answer writing is an integral part of this foundation batch. Study material. If you are joining this batch, now there are various options available for you. You can join either in the Plus program or the Iconic Plus program. If you're joining in Iconic Plus, you will get hard copy of the books as well. If you're joining Plus, you will get the soft copies of the books. But more importantly, the teachers, whatever PPTs we will be using and the annotations that we will mark on these PPTs, everything will be provided to you. All you need to do, attend the classes, revise from these annotated PPTs, take the weekly tests. Weekly tests in the sense, the classes shall be conducted from Monday to Saturday. Whatever topics are discussed from Monday to Saturday, those topics will form the basis of your weekly test. So every Sunday, there is a test, 20 MCQs, where your prelims will be targeted. 5 descriptive questions, which will make you mains ready. Please attend these tests. That is going to prepare you for the upcoming examination. Because the funda is clear, the mantra is clear. Evaluate yourself before UPSC evaluates you. Take as many mocks as possible. Write as many answers as possible. Because that's what your team always tells you, advises you. The best way to write a best answer is by starting writing bad answers. Write bad answers. Get them evaluated. Seek proper feedback. Improve upon that feedback. And that is how you're going to write a perfect answer which will fetch you top ranks in the civil services examination. And towards the end, mentorship. Teachers will guide you during the classes. So there is a raise hand feature where you just have to raise your hand. You can get in touch with the teacher. You can speak directly to the teacher and get your doubts clarified. After the class, if you have doubts, you can get in touch with the mentors. Basically, my point is that this foundation batch, which starts 31st of May, and I will share the entire schedule with you, right from the first class till the end class. When are you going to complete your syllabus? Are we going to comprehensively cover the syllabus well ahead of your prelims examination? Because that's what we advise the students. Even before your prelims examination, your syllabus should be over. So that once the prelims examination is over, all you should focus upon is more and more answer writing, more and more revision, update your material so that you're ready for the mains examination. And we will demonstrate live in front of you. We will share the entire schedule, the year-long timetable, which you need to follow to comprehensively cover your syllabus well ahead of the prelims examination. These are the highlights of this program. And if you want to and you wish to enroll in this program, you can do that now. The link is provided in the video description. And the best part is, this entire program, where prelims and main syllabus would be covered, where answer writing is an integral component of, where current affairs is dedicatedly focused upon, where weekly tests are an integral part of your preparation. All this program is available to you at 19,999. You check the website, see various options, whether you are going for Plus or Iconic Plus subscription. You may see a different price being quoted on the website. But if you apply this code IAS English, you will automatically unlock the maximum discount that can be available for your program, which right now is 19,999. If at all you want to prepare in a guided program to ace the civil services examination. This is the brief introduction about the foundation batch that we are launching. Now, one by one, we will talk about all the educators who will be teaching you live in this foundation batch. This is my picture on the screen. I have 13 plus years of experience. I've taught, I think, lakhs of aspirants, guided thousands of candidates, successful candidates in my career. But I will discuss more about polity towards the end. I would now request my esteemed colleague, Abhishek Mishra sir, who is our faculty for history. Sir needs no introduction. He is an accomplished author as well of multiple books on history. Sir, how are you going to teach the students of the foundation batch? What should be your approach? What should the students expect from you? And what are you expecting from the students?
So the biggest issue with history is its vast coverage, and there are multiple sources. So what we do in the comprehensive courses, in 3 different stints, we cover everything comprehensively, which is ancient medieval art and culture, because they are connected to one another, and thereafter modern and post-independence and world history. These are 3 separate, you can say, blocks in which in 30 and 15 classes will cover everything. With regards to the sources, you just have to refer to the PPT. If you've gone through the prelims paper which came on Sunday itself, 14 to 15 questions can be answered directly out of the PPT itself. The PPT, the annotated PPT, will be your main resource. More than that, see, the biggest issue is that students tend to get lost in history. They don't know what to read and what not to read. And this is where I will tell you what to cover in what depth, and we will be oscillating from NCERT to sometimes academic level to sometimes even optional level because of the depth of the questions itself. So at the end of the day, what I expect from you is that you have to come to the class, you have to listen to me. I will make sure that we go from 0 to 100%, from prelims to mains, and together we can cover everything in a certain packet which can be digested by you. This is a very important point you have to understand. If you will start to read each and every book, there are 7 to 8 books. If you will do that, you will never be able to ace history, and that is where our comprehensive course, that is where my approach may be different from anyone else who's there in the market itself, sir.
And sir teaches the entire history, ancient, medieval, art and culture, modern, post-independent India, world history.
Yes.
Multiple books that students need to refer. But you are saying that your course will be a comprehensive one.
Yes, sir.
If the students will attend your classes, take the weekly tests, which is curated by you.
Yes, sir.
And then you will also be providing answer writing sessions as part of this foundation
I check it as
program.
part of the course itself.
You are checking your their answer copies as well. And your annotated PPTs would be relevant and more or less complete,
yes,
for their preparation.
That is what I expect from them, that you read the PPTs, because they are as it is collated out of 8 to 9 different sources. I don't want you to go to a source and get lost within it. That is why I've collated everything for you into one PPT set. You will just refer to that with annotations, and what we are trying to teach you in class, you will have a comprehensive understanding. As sir said, what happens is if you have a disjuncted understanding where a lot of experts say that only do art and culture, only do modern India, leave ancient medieval, you will struggle in history if you're going to have this fragmented approach. This is something which I teach you from day one itself. It has to be ancient medieval art and culture, so that art and culture starts to make sense, and modern post-independence has to be done together. And with Chetan sir in perspective, once IR and world history come together, there's a synergy. So we are interacting with each of these subjects so that we have a holistic understanding, sir.
Why should a student trust you? What is your expertise?
Well, sir, I'm more an academician than an educator in that regard.
And I will tell you, sorry to interrupt you, Abhishek sir is not a teacher by accident.
Yeah.
Abhishek sir is a teacher by choice, by passion. He would easily have been teaching students, he was teaching students at the Delhi University, but out of passion, he wants the civil services aspirants to get an idea of how to read history perfectly for the civil services examination. And out of that passion, he is with us and teaching the students for so many years now. So he is not an accidental teacher. He is a thorough professional, an academician.
Thank you, sir.
An author.
Yeah. So the whole point is that at the end of the day, as sir said, that I have taught in Delhi University for 6 years before I entered into the zone. And I've been doing history. I'm an BA honors, MA, MPhil, PhD in history itself. So it's about
Gold medalist as well.
I'm a university topper, just to add that. So the whole point is that, see, history is not my, it's not that I just took history as my optional, that is why I'm teaching history. History is my passion. I've been doing this for now close to a decade. History, 2010, I started my journey with regards to history itself. And I've been teaching. I was one of the youngest assistant professors in Delhi University itself. So with NET, JRF, and the level at which I'm teaching you, as I said, wherever needed, I will go to the academic level. I have taught the history optional course within the Unacademy platform also. So you don't have to worry, you're in the right hands. And when I say that you don't have to do it and you have to do it, you have to trust me, because that worked for everyone who gave this examination this time. Sir.
We will take some of the questions from the students, and that's, if you're wondering what am I doing on phone, I'm going through your comments. If you have any specific question, Weber, I'm looking at your question. If you have any specific question for Abhishek sir, please let me know. PSIR optional, we will get back to you. I'm a working professional working in PSB, 11 hours on an average. He has taken iconic course last October, but because of uneven working hours, he is able to complete only polity and economics.
Right, sir.
How would you advise a working professional to manage job as well as civil services preparation? And I would tell you, please don't quit. Don't leave your job. You can manage it even while you are working. All you have to do, maybe you need a course. Maybe you need a guided program. All you need to do, spend 3.5 hours on a daily basis attending these classes and just revise. See if you're able to do that consistently for a month. If yes, then slowly you will have to increase the target. This 3.5 hours should become 4.5 hours, 5 hours, and then slowly pick pace. Once you reach 5 to 6 hours on a daily basis, I guarantee you, you will be able to comprehensively complete your syllabus well ahead of time, and you're all set to appear in the examination. But for God's sake, please, I beseech you, don't leave your job, because that's going to put additional burden on you. In fact, I can tell you, this foundation batch is specifically tailor-made for a working professional. We have kept working professionals in mind, and that is why if you look at the timing of this batch as well, it is 6 o'clock till 9 o'clock in the morning, so that well ahead of your working hours, you are able to attend the class, and then you can revise once you're back from the office.
And more than that, you should understand one thing. In the end, the difference between a working professional and a full-time student is how you use your hours. Because a learner who's doing it 100% or a full-time aspirant will put in 5 to 6 hours on a daily basis, but he will also be distracted. This is where you have to understand you have to use your off days better, which is your off days you have to go for intensive 10, 12 hours learning. In the end, it's a zero-sum game and you will be at the same level. Working professionals should not think that they have a disadvantage. They have a cushion. You have the peace of mind of having a job itself, and this is where you can actually prepare with no pressure on your mind. You only have to use your hours better, and how the effective learning has to be better. It's not about sitting for 6 hours, it's about what you learn within those 6 hours. That is what you have to ace in that sense.
So there are students who are asking, is your UCAN course effective? Were questions directly asked from UCAN? That is not for us to tell you. You can check with other students. Did they find our UCAN course effective or fruitful? So you have to check with others. We can tell you that our course is perfect, but find out. Talk to students, ask them for their feedback, and if they think and they will advise you that this is a better program, then only you should join.
Yes, true.
And this is not a platinum batch. Platinum is a different offering altogether. We are only talking about the foundation batch, which will run on Unacademy platform. There is a platinum batch which will continue in the evening, but on the Graphy platform. That's a separate program.
There's one of the students here, actually, Aditya, is a platinum student. I will meet you very soon, so don't have to worry. You don't have to be here, platinum students. One of the questions which is recurring is with regards to history optional. There is the course itself on
Nalini is saying, my friend took your history optional. He was also praises. I also want to join. So you can attend the recordings of Abhishek sir, which is available on Unacademy platform. Plus, it is an optional subject. Recording is already available. You can get in touch with Abhishek sir on his email ID, get your doubts clarified, get your answers evaluated, if at all. So for that, you don't need a live program. Live program is very important for GS.
Yes.
For optional, you can go for the recordings of the optional subjects that Abhishek sir and later Mukesh sir has also comprehensively covered the geography optional.
You'll find two different papers, paper 1 and paper 2, tagged into our profiles itself. You should just go into the Unacademy profile and check our profile. You'll find that. Don't have to worry that with regards to that.
So this was about Abhishek sir, our faculty educator for history, covering all the aspects of history, ancient, medieval, modern, art and culture, post-independent India, as well as world history. Now I will request, Abhishek sir, you are going into the platinum batch to teach students in the evening batch. So we will take your leave. Now I request Mukesh Jasar to come here and explain how his geography course is going to help you ace the civil services examination. Mukesh sir.
Hello sir. So in the subject of geography, the problem that students face is a kind of misdirection and lack of idea about what to cover in geography, because geography for many of the students is something which is covered in silos. They think that mapping should be done, and they think that basically if they come across a term like tropical cyclones, so I will only study tropical cyclones. Now Indian monsoon is in news, so I'll only study Indian monsoon. What that leads to is that you don't have any clarity with regards to how to approach this portion, how to understand that. Now, why I'm talking about clarity? I'm sure none of the students here have a plan to become a geographer in their life. At least that is not why you take the course. But then when you take a look at the mains question digs your conceptual depth. For example, we all talk about India. We talk about India's physiography. Now, anywhere that you take a look into, be it NCRTs or the book.
I will just interrupt you here, sir, and for the benefit of my students, those who are watching right now, if you want to study geography and just to clear prelims examination, go and find a different teacher. I'm not sounding arrogant, even if I am, I apologize for that. But if you want to qualify mains examination, then Mukesh sir is India's best teacher. And I can say this with utmost seriousness and authority. If you want to clear all the 3 stages and comprehensively cover geography for prelims as well as mains examination, Mukesh sir is there for you. If you want to just clear your prelims exam, then you may find hundreds of teachers available online as well as offline. Please proceed.
Thank you for that, sir. So basically, I was giving you the example for suppose when we talk about India's physiography. Any of the lecture that you see online, any of the portions that you see in the reference book, they talk about that Deccan Plateau is situated here, Himalayas are situated here, Northern Plains, these are the names of the Northern Plains. Students also mark the location of it and they are happy in their life that I will take a look into it after prelims. But what was the question that UPSC asked in the mains? Discuss the features of Deccan Trap. Now that is a 10-marker question. In a 10-marker question, you simply cannot write the location.
But sir, students are not aware before they plan their preparation, before they start their preparation. Maybe some of them or most of them would not even follow what you're saying.
Absolutely.
How do we tell a student exactly what do you need for this examination? Do you have to remember names of rivers, lakes, mountains,
Yeah, so you have hit the nail directly on its head. So basically, that is the aspect of misguidance that I'm talking about. Everywhere, everybody talks about rivers and tributaries, national parks and sanctuaries,
Species in news.
species in news. Learn that. But understand that what you are doing is you are playing into the hands of UPSC. UPSC wants you to do this. Every year in 16 to 17 questions from geography, you will have 2 to 3 such factual questions.
And then students chase those questions
yes.
and realign their preparation, and now they will have to
Absolutely.
ratify all these names.
And I always maintain
And spend 60, 70 hours on
minimum. So think about it. You have all the list of the rivers. These are the tributaries. Learn. Now you have to take so many things in your mind. So please understand this is something beyond your capacity. Just to give you a sake of it, critically endangered species. Let's suppose you are a very bright student. You have learned all the critically endangered species. There are 73 such critically endangered species. Now let's suppose national parks. You are again a very bright student. 110 national parks. Ramsar sites, 89 Ramsar sites. Wildlife sanctuaries, more than 600 wildlife sanctuaries. Tiger reserves, 58 tiger reserves. Elephant reserves, 34 elephant reserves. Then you have biodiversity hotspots. Then you have biosphere reserves. What all will you learn? On top of that, look at the question that UPSC is throwing at you in the name of maps. Lake Tanganyika, one random lake in Brazil, one random lake in Cambodia. Now, if you spend all your energy just looking at that, then when will you study the concepts? What about the other 12 questions? And there is a very simple flow in geography in very simple terms. If I can take 2 minutes of your time, pay attention here. Understand this. Unless and until you know how a mountain is formed, how will you understand the property of the mountain in various parts of the world? Now, once you understand this, the mountains end up influencing the rainfall. So if your geomorphology is not clear, how will you understand world climate? So climatology has to be studied only after you are clear of the landforms. Now, unless and until you are aware of the climatic conditions across the globe, then the oceanic circulations which happen across the globe, they will make no sense to you. Why is there a conveyor belt cycle? What is the influence of climate change in terms of oceanic circulation? UPSC asked this in the prelims examination this year again. Now, unless and until you are clear with these, then all the aspects regarding Indian geography will be directly a shot in the dark. And that is when eventually you will lose hope of the subject. And after that, you will restrict yourself, sir, please give me the list of the names which are important for map pointing. Because you are targeting those 2 questions. You are ignoring the 14 other questions. So that is the approach which should not be followed, even for that matter, sir, in environment ecology. Now, we have also met multiple students who have said that I have learned so many species. The species was not asked.
yesterday itself.
Yesterday itself we met. So what is the approach? Because UPSC had asked about orangutan once. My expectation is UPSC will repeat the same question and I will do this correct this time. No.
How are you going to approach these 2 subjects? Mukesh sir is our educator for geography and environment and ecology. Should students read NCERTs before joining your course, or would you cover right from basics to the advanced level so that they don't have to read NCERTs before attending your classes?
They don't have to read anything prior to attending the class.
Because it defeats the purpose.
Yes.
If you have read NCERTs on your own, if you have read the books, then you don't even need coaching.
Yes.
Go and take mocks.
Yes.
But if you are finding it difficult to understand NCERTs, to understand reference books, this is where the role of an educator comes into the picture. You want a teacher who can simplify concepts for you.
Yes.
And you want a teacher who can teach you what is required for the examination. Nothing more, nothing less. So that is something that you're going to promise the students.
Absolutely. And as you have already mentioned about the annotated PDFs, so even the NCERT text which is important for the exam, that will be included there. And the effort will always be the case that, for example, you have a complex topic like El Nino Southern Oscillation. Again, very complicated in terms of the approach. But when you attend the comprehensive batch, I will ensure you that with the help of a simple bucket and a table fan, something that all of you have at your home, you will be able to understand clearly what happens in Pacific and how it influences our climate. That is the clarity that you need in the examination, because for the same topic, you should have the ability to write either 150 words or 300 words if required. And for that, intellectual and conceptual depth is required. There is no shortcut around it, even for environment ecology. Now we are still outdated, as far as the students are concerned, we are still outdated in terms of our approach. But UPSC has not been stagnant. UPSC has changed its approach. The species in use. From where do you think UPSC is asking these questions about these particular species? Either the species have been in use, or for example, you have various docu-series. We were talking about it earlier as well. Various docu-series are being released across the globe, now covering biodiversity, climate change, etc. Now, for the past 3 years, UPSC has picked examples from orangutan question, for example, the lions, cheetahs, etc. for that example, and that is being mentioned. Now, when we cover the portion of environment ecology, the approach that we take is, for example, let's suppose we are talking about a concept such as ecosystem. Rather than in a very bland manner telling you that ecosystem has got biotic, abiotic components, it won't make sense to you. Take example for the case of Kaziranga National Park. Now, what is the ecosystem in Kaziranga National Park? Why is it that we have one-horned rhino in Kaziranga, but we also have one-horned rhino in the region of the Tarai Belt, Nepal, Uttar Pradesh border? So that is the detailed approach.
The Royal Bengal tiger that you see in Simlipal.
Yes, why do you have the pseudomelanism associated with the Royal Bengal tiger? So the in-depth understanding is required.
So there are lots of questions, comments related to what is the difference in various batches. I'll tell you briefly. There is a plus subscription. There is Iconic Plus. And then there is Platinum. What is the difference between these batches? Here you get live classes, you get weekly tests, you get prelims test series, you get mains test series, you get the soft copies of the study material that Unacademy provides. Full stop. When it comes to Iconic Plus, you get everything that is part of Plus. Plus on top of that, you get a mentor who is guiding you to prepare for this examination, who has already reached the interview stage multiple times and now is full-time mentoring the students. So you get a mentor. You get answer writing sessions in such a manner that whatever answer you write from whichever source, we will evaluate, the mentors will evaluate. And at the same time, you get hard copies of the books that Unacademy provides. Then Platinum is something else. It is the reincarnation of offline classroom, but in the online environment, where we have a batch of 100 students. The teacher teaches 100 students because 1 to 100 ratio, which primarily means that we are able to devote more attention on an individual student. And instead of a mentor, we have the educators mentoring and guiding the students individually. That is Platinum, where your video will be on, your camera will be on, so that you are seeing the teacher and the teacher is seeing you and you are interacting with the teacher. Individual teacher, all of us would be guiding you personally, but that is Platinum. The course that we are talking about right now is Iconic Plus and Plus. And this is the course that we call the Foundation Batch. Sir, will there be any difference in the content that we provide in Plus, Iconic, or in Platinum? Please listen to me carefully. If at all, and the moment as teachers we differentiate and discriminate the students on the basis of whether you have bought Iconic or Plus or Platinum, we should die. So there is no difference in content. We will teach the same stuff what is required for the civil services exam in all the 3 batches. The only difference in Platinum is we will guide you and mentor you personally. Your camera will be on and we are interacting with you on a regular basis. Your targets will be given to you and the teachers will ensure that you are meeting the targets. Normally what happens in an online class, you may skip classes. Skip classes in the sense you will attend classes for 10 days. After that there is a break and then you procrastinate and it becomes very difficult for you to go back to these classes. Somebody has got to tell you and hold you accountable. Why are you not attending classes? So there is a strike on you. whenever you miss 3 classes in consecutive days. That is platinum, where there is a teacher with a hunter and who is going to ensure that you are not only attending the classes, you are meeting the targets as well, and you are taking the test as well. But so far as the content is concerned, our lectures, the way we deliver content remains the same, because we can't be discriminating students just on the basis of the fact that they have different paying capacity. They will pay 20,000 for plus or 40,000 for iconic or 1.5 lakh for platinum. We are not going to discriminate teachers on this basis. Okay? And I will also explain, before I introduce Shyam sir, and we will discuss how Shyam sir will be teaching you economics, one of the most dreaded subjects for the civil services examination. I'll take you through the plan, the year-long timetable. How, when, where are you going to cover your syllabus? As I told you, we are starting from May 31. That is why we have started off with June, just a day difference. We are going to start with international relations, which will be taught by Chetan sir. Then in July and August, we will have economics and we will have essay. For example, the students who are interacting with me on my Telegram channel, they wanted an essay batch to come right before the mains examination. So this time we are going to have a solid, very ambitious essay program where all the teachers will be teaching you essays. How to write essays, good essays from our respective subjects. Then in the month of August, September, we will have polity. I will be your teacher, unfortunately. Then in September, October, we will have ancient, medieval, art and culture, as well as CSAT. Then in October, November, we will have Mukesh sir with geography, and Hima Bindu ma'am, who has 20 years of experience teaching science and tech and anthropology optional to the students. She will be teaching you science and tech. Then we will have environment and world history. Then in December, January, we will have modern Indian history, post-independence, as well as ethics. Then in January, February, we will have society, disaster management, internal security, and another governance course by me. So by looking at this plan, look at all the subjects of your civil services examination, prelims as well as mains, and we are going to comprehensively cover them by the end of February 2026, which means March, April, and the remaining days of May. All you need to do is focus exclusively on the prelims, because your syllabus is already covered, already over. And then after the prelims examination, once you ace it with flying colors, you will have to focus again on answer writing, revision, optional subject, and then we will also be launching the Conquer Mains program specifically for your mains examination. So this will truly become your one-stop destination for civil services examination. Clear? So this is going to be our year-long timetable. Some of you may also ask, sir, what about our previous batch, the Ignite batch? For such students also, we will share the detailed timetable tomorrow. Positively, promise. So I promised you, we will give a year-long timetable. This is the year-long timetable for the foundation batch. Tomorrow, we will give you the timetable for the Ignite batch. Now, let me ask and request Shyam sir to come. Shyam sir.
Yes, sir.
Your subject, economics. And if there is one teacher amongst all of us who always reads and is always reading and always reading, that is Shyam sir. So the only individual, or the most prominent of the individuals that we have in our team who is just reading and nothing else, we have Shyam sir for you. And Shyam sir is not only for prelims, Shyam sir is for mains examination. Shyam sir is not only for economics, Shyam sir is for building your conceptual clarity for economics. Shyam sir is not only for macroeconomics, Shyam sir is for micro as well as macro. So first micro, a little bit of it, although not too much relevant, but unless and until you know the terms related to microeconomics, it becomes difficult for you to transition to macro.
Yes.
Sir, how are you going to teach economy?
So the issue with the, let's say, subjects such as economics is the students generally come out with the consumption that this is difficult. This subject is very difficult. I'll not be able to understand this. I'll not be able to score marks. I'm here to basically convince you, and through the classes, which you will realize what you're thinking of is a subject of economics.
Just to interrupt you, sir, if you are practicing cricket and you want to become a cricket player, for that, should you practice through baseball? Right? Because more or less it's same. You also have to hit the ball here and there as well. Similarly, if you have to write answers in English, why do you study in bilingual? Why do you study in a mix of Hindi and English? If you are writing the exam in English, then you need proper content only in English, so that the words which will be spoken by sir, the statements which will be given by sir, will get ingrained into your minds and you can use the same stuff in your mains answers.
Yes.
So if you have to practice in the same language in which you are going to appear in the examination. Although it may not be right example to give, but let me give it nevertheless. There is no such thing as veg biryani. And that is why I say there is no such thing as a bilingual or English course. It is either Hindi or English. If you are writing the exam in Hindi, join a Hindi batch. If you're writing the exam in English, join an English batch. Sir, over to you.
So the subject of economics is technical. It's difficult, yes. But what is asked in the UPSC examination is not the subject of economics, but the concept in Indian economy. That is basically the application part. Just to give a very simple example, a lot of the students, whenever I start in any batch, the first question that the students ask is, sir, should I read all the graphs? Should I memorize all the calculations? Should I memorize all the formulas, etc.? Now, for the subject of Indian economy, you do not require all of it. Whatever is minimal required, that will be discussed from the basics to the greatest extent that is required. From the basics to the advanced level, that will be covered in the classroom. And how do you basically address all these particular areas? That is one, static portion. You require current affairs. If you have seen the question paper, questions will come both from the static area as well as the current affairs. For that, we will start with the basics, with the definition of economics, and as the time passes by, you will understand the concepts such as inflation, the fiscal policy, the budgeting, taxation. We will basically drag the discussion to the extent of inclusive growth, which is mainly the area that is asked in the mains examination. So I'm here to basically tell you that from the subject of Indian economy, you do not have to be worried, be it for prelims or be it for mains. Even if a question is asked in the interview, where there is a connection with, let's say, certain events that are happening in the international market, or regarding the policies of the Trump, etc. With this knowledge, you will be easily able to answer the questions in the interview, prelims, as well as mains. And regarding the notes, I've seen students referring to NCERT books, Tamil Nadu board, referring to Dutt and Sundaram, referring to Uma Kapila. Then somebody says this book is good, they will purchase that as well. You do not have to purchase multiple sources, not required, because at the end of the day, your target should be to clear the prelims, mains and the interview examination, not to become an economist. If you want to become an economist, purchase 10 books, read 10 magazines, read 10 newspapers every day. That is for a different purpose altogether. Here your agenda should be to get more marks, to clear with flying colors.
What should the student read before joining your classes? Should they have a basic understanding of economy?
Absolutely no, sir. In the first class, the first thing I tell the students is the definition of economics. I start with the definition of economics. There are students from different backgrounds. There are also students from commerce. There are students from the arts. First thing I tell them is what is the definition of economics, and rather than reading multiple sources, whatever is discussed in the classroom along with the notes that I provide, that will be more than sufficient to take care of the current affairs as well as the static portion.
And through UCAN, you will be covering the updated current affairs.
Every month, 4 hours of current affairs, every subject individually will be covered, including my subject, that is Indian economy. So they don't have to refer to different materials. Whatever we discuss, whatever we provide, that is more than sufficient to score very good number of marks in prelims as well as mains.
Basically, if you can ensure that you're attending classes regularly, you're following the teacher, you're raising your hand during the classes and getting your doubts clarified, you're taking the weekly test, you're submitting your answers for evaluation, and you're attending the UCAN sessions to take care of your current affairs, there's hardly anything else that you need to qualify this examination. And Ayushi, this timetable that I provided is for both Plus as well as Iconic. For Platinum, there is a different timetable that we follow. The teachers who will be teaching you in Plus, same set of teachers will be teaching you Platinum as well. Thank you so much, sir,
Yes, sir.
for your time. Now, Chetan sir, there is a lot of demand from students for you. All of them are asking for, when will you take PSIR optional? Not me, Chetan sir. So Chetan sir is our faculty for, what do you teach?
International relations.
International relations, internal security, disaster management as well, and current affairs. Why should a student trust you?
Well, I've been a foreign policy enthusiast for last 14-15 years. I've been deeply invested in this subject, which also connects with internal security from a long time. So I think I can give them deep insights in both the subjects, which is needed for mains answer writing, because both are predominantly mains-oriented subjects where you need critical thinking, where you need to express your views and provide your assessment of current geopolitical and security developments. So I think that is something I can bring in my classes. And I can confidently say that if you look at previous questions, for example, let's say a question on Indo-Pacific, question on, let's say, the recent crisis in Europe, which has been asked by UPSC. These are questions which may appear simple on the face of it, but if you write very simplistic, superficial answers, you'll not score well in those questions. So by attending my classes, you will get those deep insights. You can bring those unique assessments, which will make your answers stand out. And that is something I can provide in the classes.
And what are the sources that a student needs to follow for IR?
Yeah, when it comes to international relations, there are 3 problem statements. 1, the subject is very vast. Second, to what depth should you study these topics? And third, the sources, as you were referring, Sarmad sir. So talking about the vastness of the subject, if you look at the syllabus given by UPSC, the prelim syllabus is very vague. It only mentions current events of international importance. That could cover anything under the sun. So how do you identify these topics?
By looking at the main syllabus.
The main syllabus, exactly. And if you look at prelims, on an average, we've been getting 8 to 10 questions from IR. Sometimes it appears these topics are picked randomly, but there is actually a pattern to it. Most of these questions in prelims, they're essentially picked from current affairs, and you might get static questions based on...
Can you give some examples? For example, when Taliban took over Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, there was a map-based question on Afghanistan, on the neighboring countries.
When Houthis blocked the Red Sea.
A question on the Red Sea, and BIMSTEC this time, following the BIMSTEC summit. A static question came on BIMSTEC. So how do you prepare for this? There are easily...
There have been questions on ASEAN.
ASEAN as well. There are 100+ organizations and groupings, 100+ treaties and conventions.
Shanghai Cooperation Organization.
Exactly. Can you sit and study everything? It's impossible.
So you will have to link it with current affairs.
Exactly. And students who are beginners may not be able to identify which topics are relevant. And also look at the depth that you have to study. There are some topics where you need a lot of intellectual depth. Some topics where you have to just cover it superficially. Like, let's say, for example, prelims questions on refugee camps in Africa. There you don't have to go in depth. You just have to be aware of that fact. But let's say you look at India's neighborhood, India-Pakistan relations, for example. Let's say because of the recent ceasefire, UPSC might ask a static question, maybe on Shimla Agreement, maybe on the Indus Water Treaty. So students often get confused. They always ask me in class as well, sir, where do I start? To what depth do I study? So what I do in classes is that when I start India's neighborhood, there are few important countries where I go really in depth to help them understand the geopolitics of that country, the geography, the demography of the nation, because that defines geopolitics. So that clarity is needed. But there are some topics where we just have to cover the basic facts and give a basic understanding, which is enough. And that is something I take care of in the class.
What about internal security?
Internal security, again, the syllabus is partly well defined for mains. Topics like cybersecurity, money laundering, border management, these are very clearly defined topics. But the initial portion of internal security is where the real challenge lies. That's where most questions come from. UPSC says we have to read about linkages between development and extremism. Now, there is no end to this topic itself. What do you study under this topic? There's another topic, the linkages between state and non-state actors and how they threaten India's security.
Right.
So what I do in class is I actually move away from the syllabus and I adopt a unique approach. I break down these two topics into left-wing extremism, which is essentially Naxalism. Then we'll focus on terrorism, which essentially covers religious fundamentalism, state-sponsored terrorism. So we focus on Khalistan, we focus on Jammu and Kashmir, and a separate focus on Northeast insurgency. Right. So this is a more structured way of preparing for the exam, which you often don't find in other institutions. They blindly focus on the UPSC syllabus which has been given. Students may not find this approach to be useful for them. They find it very difficult to understand that. And talking about sources for both subjects,
there isn't a single source.
Absolutely. There is not a single book which will help you cover IR or internal security. So attend my classes, follow the PPTs, the annotated PPTs, and the discussions in the class, along with current affairs. This is more than sufficient.
And current affairs you will be covering through UCAN.
Through UCAN as well, and I'll integrate current affairs in my classes as well. Whenever I'm teaching, I ensure it is as up to date as possible.
And it is current affairs dominated subject.
It's very dynamic. You have to constantly stay updated. Because today I might teach something and tomorrow the development might turn completely around. Right. For example, I still remember Myanmar. I used to praise Myanmar for the transition towards a democracy. And within a month, suddenly it came back under military rule again.
Aung San Suu Kyi is back in prison.
So that's why I always tell my students, stay in touch with current affairs. Link that with your static portion. I think that's something we can do in the classes.
How about answer writing, sir?
Again, as I said, both subjects are mainly mains-oriented subjects. So answer writing is very crucial. So what I do in the class, after every session, I show them PYQs which have come, discuss those answers as well. And every week, what I do is I give them a couple of practice questions. I ask them to take up answer writing, share the answers so we can evaluate and check them live in the class itself and give a feedback on that. So answer writing is something we take very seriously, especially for these mains-oriented subjects.
Can you briefly discuss the syllabus for international relations and internal security?
Yeah.
And what should we expect from a student and how you're going to comprehensively cover the syllabus?
Correct. Let's start with IR syllabus. The first topic would be India and its neighborhood. The second topic given by UPSC would be bilateral relations of India other than the neighboring countries, and as well as the regional groupings. This is the second topic given by UPSC. If you have seen the syllabus given under GS paper 2, these are the topics. Next, you have to talk about the policies of developing and developed countries, the policies of other nations, and how does it impact India? Let's say the immigration policy of the US administration or the security policy of China, Pakistan. This will have an impact on India's interests. So that becomes your third topic, where you focus on the policies of developing countries and developed nations and their impact on India. Then you have to read about Indian diaspora. You have to focus on the Indian community abroad. What is their role in India's foreign policy? Why should the government take care of the interests of the diaspora? How the diaspora community is contributing to India's growth, to push India's foreign policy abroad. How they are providing soft power leverage to India's foreign policy. So that is the next topic. And finally, we have international organizations. We have to learn about the structure of these organizations, their mandate. So this syllabus, though it contains only 5 main themes, it's actually very vast. As I was mentioning, there are hundreds of organizations and groupings. How many will you sit and study? Is it practical to read about every single organization, every single treaty, every single convention? It's practically impossible. No student can remember that. Even if you look at the bilateral relations, will you cover each and every country? Will you read about India's ties with every country in the world? It's not possible. Again, you can't remember everything. So what you have to do here is we have to prioritize. We have to focus on recent developments of, let's say, last 2-3 years. So that's what I do in the classes. I always give maximum priority to the first chapter, India and its neighborhood. Because in this chapter, we can also speak about the background. We can talk about the foundation of India's foreign policy, understand few core foreign policy principles of India. Using that as a basis, we can focus on the neighborhood, the immediate neighboring countries of India, and study them individually. All the 8 from the prism of politics, from the prism of economy, and then apply this towards the international relations of that country. That's why I always tell my students that IR is a multidisciplinary subject. It's linked to various other subjects. So once you develop this conceptual clarity in the first chapter and understand India's neighborhood clearly, then we can move around the world. So what I do to simplify this, I take a regional approach. See, again, UPSC is not very helpful with regard to its syllabus. It's very vague. Can you sit and study the bilateral ties of India with each and every country? It's not practically possible. So what I do, I take a regional approach. We move towards each and every sub-region. We look at Indian Ocean region, Southeast and East Asia, Indo-Pacific, Europe, Africa, Latin America. And in each region, I will pick few countries which I feel is important. Now you might ask me, how do I know which countries are more important? This is based on my experience, based on current developments. I will ensure that we cover the most important countries in each and every region. And then and there, we'll also discuss the groupings of that region. Let's say we are studying about West Asia. I can confidently tell you that you just have to read about Iran, Israel, Saudi Arabia and UAE. You can leave out the other countries. So then and there, we'll cover the groupings of that region as well, like GCC, OIC and others, so that comprehensively that region gets covered. So like this, we'll cover most of the world, and then we move towards the Indian diaspora, the role of the Indian community. We'll talk about some important organizations. Again, we'll be very selective here based on current developments, based on what we think is relevant for the exam.
But sir, the syllabus is very vast.
Yeah.
How do you constrict it?
As I said, you have to pick out the most important topics. That's what I do, because when UPSC says bilateral relations, right, there's no end to this. Will you cover the bilateral ties of 190 plus countries with India? It's practically impossible. So in the regional approach, what I do in each and every region, right, I pick out 3-4 countries which are most relevant. Let's say we are looking at Indo-Pacific. Countries like Japan would be important, Australia, Philippines, Vietnam. You don't have to read about India-Cambodia relations. You don't have to read about India-Laos relations. Definitely there won't be a question on that. Maybe there's something in Cambodia, Laos which is prelim specific, which is factually important. So that is something I'll cover in the classes in current affairs.
You have any questions for sir? Please let us know, and then we will proceed further. Ashok wants PSR optional from you.
From both of us.
No, from you.
You've been saying just from me, but it's from both of us.
Although the other two faculties are not with us live, but we have Astha ma'am, who would be teaching you society as well as social justice. We have Hima Bindu ma'am, who is also part of our team, who will be teaching you live science and technology. And ma'am has been a very important part of a prominent offline coaching institute in Delhi, has more than 20 years of experience. She is also an educator for anthropology optional, in fact, one of the best anthropology faculties that we have in this country. And she would be teaching you science and technology. And for science and technology, you might have gone through the prelims question paper recently. Unless and until you have conceptual clarity, it won't be possible for you to answer the questions.
Exactly. Look at the questions that were asked in science and tech. And I think personally, I'm a big fan of Hima ma'am. I've been watching her classes. It feels like you're going back to your school days.
And she teaches like she's teaching kids.
Kids. I think that's really wonderful. I think students will really benefit from such classes.
Right. How important are constitutional bodies? Details from prelims perspective, very important. How important are non-constitutional bodies from the prelims perspective? Even more important. For example, we saw a question related to Lokpal. And we have been seeing questions related to which of the following are not provided by the Constitution. In fact, this year as well. Very important. Polity start when? And my dear, I've shared the schedule with you. In August and September, we will be focusing on polity. If you have any doubts with respect to this foundation batch that we are going to launch on the 31st of May, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer. To reiterate and re-emphasize, this batch starts 31st of May. We will have classes in the morning, 6 to 9, and this is how we are going to cover the syllabus of your examination. There is a different planner for Ignite batch and different planner for the foundation batch. Yes. For mentorship, I've told you if you need, and there are two types of mentorships that we provide. If you need mentorship by subject matter experts, for that there is Iconic Plus. If you need mentorship by educators, the team that we have, the team you have just met, then for that there is a Platinum batch. Along with do you have to read any current affairs magazine? For example, just talk to the students around. All of them are following one magazine, current affairs magazine, released by a coaching institute in Delhi. Why? Because they say, sir, FOMO. Because once upon a time, when man used stars to navigate on earth, he climbed trees, ran to mountain tops, drew maps by hand, and watched shadows for guidance. That was the time when the current affairs magazine of that institute was relevant. Now it is no longer relevant. But out of FOMO, fear of missing out, people still tend to follow that magazine. Some 365, whatever it is called. But you don't need to follow any other magazine. For current affairs, you can. Plus, we have our own monthly current affairs magazine. If you have time, go through it. Sir, we will be able to crack paper like Prelims 2025 through this course. Hansa's World. My dear, that is something that you should ask others who are chatting with you right now. If this course has helped them to answer the questions which were asked in Prelims 2025. And let me tell you something. You might have heard or read about that Prelims 2025 was the toughest paper in the history of UPSC, at least over the past 1 decade. And it is very difficult, and students have been struggling to score 80, 85, 90. But I can tell you, with hand on my heart, I've received more than 67 mails from the students, and these students are scoring not 90, not 95, but 100 plus. 100 plus. More than 67 students who have reached out to me scoring 100 plus. So is it helpful? That is for you to tell me. What is the difference between Ignite and Foundation batch? The difference is in terms of the launch. Ignite is our old batch. Foundation is the new batch. Ms. Smita Goswami says, of course, helpful. Thank you so much. Ignite batch is showing, but how to get the foundation course? As I said, please visit our website. Once you visit the website, you will have to select the goal. If you select UPSC CSE as your goal, then there are various options that will be provided to you. Whether you need a subscription for 12 months or 15 months or 18 months or 24 months or 18 months, and whether you need Plus or Iconic Plus. Basis that, select the appropriate option, whatever option you want, whether you need Iconic Plus or you need Plus. Then use this code, because I'm sure there is a different price being quoted on the website. It will ask you necessarily to apply a code. And if you do that, if you use this code, you will get the subscription for 19,999. Is current affairs you can integrate it in the foundation course as part of your foundation batch. I will reiterate, if this is your foundation batch, what do you get in this foundation batch? You get live classes by the educators you have met today. What do you get? You get the annotated PPTs. What do you get? You get weekly tests, both objective as well as subjective. What do you get? You get UCAN. What do you get? You get prelims test series. You get mains test series. You get Conquer prelims. You get Conquer mains. And you get the evaluation. But apart from this, and this is part of your plus program. But if you need mentorship, detailed mentorship, then there is Iconic Plus. Sir, I covered most of the GS subjects, but I don't write even a good question context in my mind, but I'm unable to put it on paper. The best way to write the best answer is by writing bad answers. Start writing answers. Unless and until you try and practice, you're not going to become an expert in answer writing. Answer writing is an art which you must develop. And for that, you need constant practice. Write answers, share it with the teachers. For example, in my courses, and that is something that we follow across, all the educators do that. Every Saturday, we discuss PYQs. PYQs are very, very important because to ace this examination, and this is what I reiterate and emphasize upon, there are two important documents that you must focus upon. One is the syllabus and the other is PYQs. What's the difference? Syllabus will tell you what to study. PYQs will tell you how to study and how to anticipate questions that can be asked in the examination. For example, why was a question asked on removal of the speaker? Because Vice President was in the news, because the opposition tried to introduce a motion in the Rajya Sabha to remove the Vice President of India. UPSC did not ask related to the removal of the Vice President, but the removal of the Speaker. Similarly, you can find so many questions being asked in the examination which have relevance when it comes to current affairs. Are these videos recorded? I'm sorry, I don't think I was able to communicate this better. That's what I think. Because when I mention live classes means live, the way it is right now. But if your question is that what if you skip a live class, you miss a live class, will the recordings of these live classes be provided? Yes. How many times can you watch or attend the recordings of these classes? There is no limitation. There is no limit, unlimited access to the recordings. You can watch as many times as possible. Plus, one more advantage that you can have if you enroll in this foundation batch, maybe you may want to study a particular subject in bilingual or in English medium or in Hindi medium. So this is the one program, this is one subscription which will give you access to not only English course, English batch, but also Hindi batch as well, English or bilingual batch as well. One subscription to take care of all your requirements. Sir, but looking at PYQs, we didn't understand those tricky questions. Then when should we start with PYQs? After completion of syllabus or after certain portion of subject? That's what we do in our classes. Every Saturday, we discuss PYQs of the concepts and topics which we have taught you during that week, both from prelims as well as mains perspective. Prelims questions as well as mains PYQs. And in fact, the educators, we teach you live. We write the answer live in the class and tell you this is how you should structure your answer. Does Hema Bindu ma'am take Onthro classes? Yes, she does. Sir, I failed 3 times in prelims in a row. What should I do now? Please go back to the drawing board and ask this question. Why did you fail? Why were you unable to crack the prelims exam 3 times in consecutive terms? Maybe you lacked conceptual clarity, or maybe you lacked revision, or maybe you lacked both, or maybe you had not enrolled in coaching, or maybe you had enrolled in coaching but you were unable to complete the classes. So I don't know who you are. I don't know what exactly is your issue. So it becomes very difficult just by looking at the statement, what is the exact issue. Asta ma'am teaches social issues, society, social justice. For ethics, we have a different teacher. For 2027 UPSC, we should cover CA for how many months? Read newspaper now. Read newspapers. And make newspaper reading your habit. But you should follow current affairs 1 year prior to prelims exam. So if you're attempting this exam in May 2027, then ideally May 2026 onwards, current affairs you should religiously follow. But to follow that, you need to develop conceptual clarity. And that can happen if you start right now, start reading newspapers. Some of these live classes will be conducted in the morning. Some of these live classes will be conducted in the evening as well, because we want to ensure that you are able to comprehensively cover your syllabus well before your prelims examination. Sir, I'm a working professional. Can I join this course? Vamsi, if you have followed this session right from the start, I mentioned specifically that we have designed this course specifically to ensure that working professionals are benefited. And it becomes very important, fruitful for a working professional to join a guided program, because you don't have a lot of time to prepare your own content. That is why you should follow, ideally if you want, if money is not an issue, you should join a guided program where a one-stop destination is provided to you in the form of content, in the form of notes, in the form of answer writing. So if you are a working professional, this is most suitable for you. Sir, what should I do for answer writing, as I did coaching but mains in Gujarati? Depends whether you are writing the answers in English or Gujarati. Sir, does Hindu newspaper on YouTube is sufficient for current affairs, or is it mandatory to read newspaper? Reading newspaper is a must. You should not skip newspapers. Okay, that is it for now. Again, I will re-emphasize this batch so that you do not miss the initial classes. And it is always important to convey to the students, those who are desirous of seeking coaching or guidance, we should be honest in telling them that this is when we are going to start the batch, this is how we are going to complete the batch. Because then after a few days or after a few weeks, we get a query from the student that, sir, we want to join this batch, but now you are in the middle of this program. How should I cover the remaining portions? How should I cover the left out portions? That is why it is important for us to convey in clear, no uncertain terms that this is going to be the launch of the batch on the 31st of May, and it is better if you start on day 1. I want to join this course. When will the course start? The course starts 31st of May. And the link to join this course is provided in the video description. Thank you so much for staying with us. Hope to see you soon in the foundation batch, and together, let's crack it.